Almost there. Why do some national championship players move up and some stay at the same level? This ties back into the relativity piece. It really depends on who they played at nationals, what the dynamics of their opponents were, how they performed. Again, the algorithm doesn't have rules about, oh, you played at nationals, you're moving up, or oh, you played at nationals and you won, you're moving up. The algorithm is blind to all of that, and it really looks at that relative dynamic result of play and participation. So for players that were maybe closer to the next level or had bigger wins, they will move up, and players that simply didn't have the same level of performance won't move up. What is the start rating for self-rated players? So we talked about this. That's that 0 rating until we start to learn about you through your play. Are 0-0 results excluded from the calculation? They are not. We include every match that is in an included league. And, you know, there's nothing to say that a 0-0 should be thrown out. We've done research on this. We've analyzed it. We've looked at it, and the data did not suggest that this helped the ratings or was beneficial. So we do not exclude anything. Just so you know, we are looking at a provision in the algorithm that would exclude 0-0 results for players that are, what I will say, very far apart. So using a very extreme example, if a 4-0 were to play a 5-0, those are very far apart. If there were a 0-0 result, we may start to exclude some of those results. And that's what I'll tell you there as far as that research goes, but that's down the line and it's in research at this time. How do NTRP and UTR line up, and why doesn't USTA use UTR? I did talk about this a little bit. They're different systems. They're very different scales. They're different algorithms with different principles, and they serve different purposes and different constituencies. So just because they're both tennis rating systems doesn't mean they have very organic overlap. And what we're seeing is they don't when we look at them side by side. How can we improve geographical impact? This is also something we're working on with the algorithm. I think it probably looks a lot bigger from the ground level than what we see in the analysis, but we are always looking at where we see players that don't have as much cross play in some areas of the country as other areas, and looking at making modifications to the algorithm to help proliferate that cross play. We would rely on the algorithm to do that, and it's a little bit complex, so that's something that's in the works. How can a mistake in NTRP be corrected? If this is a match result that was entered incorrectly or something that was not the way it was supposed to be in the system, you can change the score and let us know it was changed. If there's a question about a mistake, submit it. We'll take a look and see what's going on. The algorithm doesn't. We don't have mistakes in the algorithm, but sometimes results can be put in that can affect a player's rating in a way that once those results are corrected, the algorithm handles the rating and the player feels like that score change or that result change did have the effect that we wanted it to have. So if you think there's an error in your results, let's take a look. That's really the extent of NTRP. But if you have an inquiry, go ahead and submit it to your section and we'll take a look. Timing of play and inclusion with ratings, I wanted to address this one. There were a lot of questions about, is my spring league included? What about my summer leagues? Why only fall leagues? Why not winter leagues? This all has to do with how your section has set up your league, the timing of it, and they can set it up in a way that includes it or doesn't. Those are all section questions. It's really up to them and how they set it up in Tennis Link. So wish I could answer more there. It's absolutely different across the country. Can we have a singles rating and a doubles rating? I like this question. It's something we've looked at. It would be a huge change for us algorithmically, infrastructure-wise, and for our program. We'd also have to change all of our rules and regulations, because where you can play as a singles player and where you can play as a doubles player, based on the rules we have today, would not be the same. So that certainly complicates team structure, registration regulations, all of that. So you can imagine the work that would go into that. Again, a question we revisit quite frequently, despite the complexity of it. Age at which I can retain my rating. So we talked about that, 3 years for 16 under, 2 years for 16 over. Why don't we have in-person rating clinics? They are more subjective than we'd want to admit. You know, what we found when we were doing the in-person rating clinics was that there was a fair amount of, oh, well, what level do you want to be? Oh, that's where your friends are. Go ahead, or things like that. So we don't have the ability to ensure that the people providing the ratings clinics are going to do it based on the level descriptions. And so we've avoided those, and we've simplified it, and we've reduced the cost and increased the efficiency by creating that form. How does line position impact NTRP? It does not. Line position has no impact on NTRP. Really important question, and I love that. How is age factored in? The algorithm itself does not look at age. What we manage, how we manage the complexity of age and the change of skill around age is with those various regulations that you heard me talk about. Now we're up to 4, which is quite a bit of variability in the regulations as players age. What we're looking to do is fine tune those regulations based on data. Data being what our dynamic ratings of those players in those age groups tell us, and what does science tell us about skill and flexibility degradation over time. So lots of research. That's an ongoing project, and I think that we all can expect more changes to come in that arena around how we're handling appeals for those age players. Do ratings include other inputs or consider number of players at a level? I get this question actually a fair amount. When year-end ratings come out, is there any review process that moves players to other levels to keep the distribution even? That's what this question means, or that's how I read it, and that's the question that I get. The answer to that is no. Players are placed at the level where the algorithm places them. There is no committee, no manual review to put players at different levels based on distribution. That's all algorithm work, and we let them land where they land. We do have a nearly perfect bell curve of NTRP players. That's what I get for doing a speed round, where the peak is at 3.5, and probably that's not a surprise to anyone who's played league. Most of our players are right around 3.5.